Let me begin by welcoming you all tonight to the Explore 10 Environmental Engineering Alumni Panel. Thank you for attending. My name is Morgan, and I'm one of your co-hosts for this evening. I'm a junior majoring in bioenvironmental engineering, and I love being involved on campus and in class. I'm super passionate about green infrastructure and exploring how it can be used to mitigate the impacts of climate change.
Hi everyone, my name is Shreya and I'm your other co-host for this evening. I'm a junior as well, majoring in environmental engineering, and I'm really involved on campus, from being the vice president of Students for Environmental and Energy Development to working as a research assistant on campus. I want to help change the world by actively creating solutions to environmental problems, and I'm passionate about exploring energy and the water resources industry.
So, tonight you will hear from 3 Rutgers graduates who currently work in environmental engineering, and you will have the opportunity to listen to their stories, chat, and ask questions. The Rutgers Environmental and Bioenvironmental Engineering programs are ABET accredited and prepare students for the Fundamentals of Engineering exam, the first step to earning a professional engineering license. Joining us now for the welcome address is the Bioenvironmental Engineering Program Director, Dr. Uta Krogman.
Hello, this is Uta Krogman, and as Morgan said, I'm the undergraduate program director, and I would like to welcome everybody. I wanted to do that especially in case if there are any freshmen here, so in case you have any questions so that you know whom to contact. So I'm one of the undergraduate program directors. I'm in the School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, and the second program director is Dr. Farnfeld, and she's in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. So if you have any questions, the other students already know that, but if you have any questions, we are the right persons to contact. I also, just one last thing I wanted to mention, if you wanted to find out more about the program, it's a very easy website, environmental.rutgers.edu, and there you find more about the program. And thanks to Morgan Schreier and Dean Cadena of organizing that, and of course to the alumni as well.
Thank you so much, Dr. Krogman. That was a wonderful welcoming address. Now we're going to view a short video explaining what bioenvironmental engineering is.
What is the first thing you think of when you hear the words environmental engineering? Save the trees, save the fish, recycling? Have you ever wondered what environmental engineers do? Environmental engineering is the study of the effect of human activities on the environment and the use of engineering principles to improve and maintain the environment. The United States Environmental Protection Agency has identified 10 issues of concern in this matter: air, water, waste, land and cleanup, health and safety, climate change, green living and sustainability, emergencies, chemicals and toxins, and pesticides in agriculture. By focusing on these issues, environmental engineers improve and maintain the environment for the protection of human health and ecosystems.
Me too?
Yes, you too. To see how important environmental engineers are to our life, let's look at our own daily routine. When you wake up in the morning, what is the first thing you do? You wash your face, brush your teeth, and you use the restroom. To do all of these activities, you need clean water. Environmental engineers clean river water and groundwater to provide you with safe drinking water, which you use for all your activities throughout the day. What happens to that water that you use? In a day, each of us generates 265 to 375 liters of wastewater. All of it has to go somewhere, right? All this wastewater is sent to treatment plants near your house. Environmental engineers design these plants to clean millions of gallons of water each day in order to maintain water quality of rivers and oceans. Moving on. Now that you're dressed to go to school, you go to the kitchen and eat breakfast. You throw away any leftovers and trash, cereal boxes, wrappers, paper towels. Where does it all go? The trash you generate is collected from your house and is either recycled, composted, incinerated, or buried in the landfills. There are more than 3,000 landfills in the United States that are specially engineered to hold tons of solid and hazardous waste generated by people and industries so that toxic chemicals in the waste do not pollute the soil. Okay, let's go back to your morning routine one last time. You finish breakfast and you're ready for school. You get on the school bus. You may have noticed that buses spit out smoke when they run sometimes. This smoke contains gases such as carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, which deteriorate air quality. The air quality in your city is monitored by environmental engineers. They also make technologies to take out a lot of the harmful chemicals from the smoke so that the air is healthy, safe, and breathable. Okay, so far we've talked about how environmental engineers affect our daily life. Clean water, clean air, and no waste. Are there other ways that environmental engineers help you? Of course. Remember that environmental engineers study anything that could affect the environment and try to make the environment better. In many places, the air, soil, and water is already filled with harmful chemicals that can hurt animals or humans. Environmental engineers use advanced technologies to research treatment methods to take these chemicals out of water, soil, and air to make the environment safer for humans and animals. Another way environmental engineers help people is by improving sustainability and researching alternate energy. They closely monitor the health of the environment and study the risk posed by any natural and industrial disasters to the environment. These are just some of the ways environmental engineers help protect public and ecological health. Think about your life. What are some ways you know environmental engineers help you?
So next we're going to introduce our three panelists.
Shreya, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry, we've all been there. Our first panelist for tonight is Daryl Strom, who is the president of DSR Engineering, an energy efficiency and green building compliance company that performs energy audits, engineering design review, and equipment performance testing. He received his Bachelor of Science in Bioenvironmental Engineering from Rutgers and his Master's of Engineering in Energy Systems Engineering from Lehigh University. He's a licensed professional engineer in several states, a certified energy manager, a building energy modeling professional, and certified building commissioning professional with over 10 years of engineering experience.
Next, we have Elena Famble, who graduated from Rutgers' dual degree Bioenvironmental Engineering program in 2017. She began working as an environmental engineer at the Georgia Environmental Protection Division in the Department of Defense unit. In that role, she led the compliance, corrective action, and enforcement action under RECRA and CERCLA for numerous military installations throughout Georgia. Currently, she is a remedial project manager in the Restoration and Site Evaluation section of the Superfund Division in EPA Region 4. She has worked on several pre-remedial projects and is the site assessment manager for Alabama, South Carolina, and Mississippi.
Our third panelist tonight is Evan Lutz, who is an environmental engineer in the water sector of Mott MacDonald's North American Northeast Unit. He graduated from Rutgers in 2019 with a major in bioenvironmental engineering and a minor in environmental science. Before working full-time, he remediated soil and water, helped develop a water utility master plan, created and led Students for Environmental and Energy Development, or SEED, a renewable energy and environmental engineering student organization, and worked on nonprofit environmental engineering projects in Africa and Haiti.
So now that we have introduced you to your panelists, let's briefly go over the general format for tonight's event. We will begin by asking each of our panelists a question, and then we will separate into breakout rooms where you will have the opportunity to chat more. So without further ado, here's our first question to each of our panelists. Why and how did you choose your major? If you could please answer this in 1 to 2 minutes each, starting with Daryl, then Elena, and then Evan.
Sure. So I became interested in climate change when I was in high school, before like Inconvenient Truth even came out. And that sort of shaped what I wanted to do with my college career. And when Because I liked building things and, you know, liked how things worked, I decided on engineering. And then putting the two together, I decided on environmental engineering because I decided that mechanical engineers didn't care enough about the environment and neither did electrical engineers. So that's how I landed on. Plus, it helps that my dad's in the field too, obviously. But that's how I landed here.
Hey guys, yeah, so from high school, we didn't really talk about environmental sciences, but I knew I wanted to be an engineer major. I knew I loved math and science, so that was like the logical route to go on. But by the time I applied to Rutgers, it was too late to apply to the School of Engineering. And I was thinking about doing chemical engineering, but SEB still had open applications for the environmental engineering program. And I was like, well, I might as well do that and transfer over. But I took my first intro class to environmental studies and it was really fascinating and I felt really fulfilled after going to that course. So I stuck with it and I really love it. It's been my passion ever since.
I grew up around blueprints with my dad being a small homes contractor, helping him out building homes. So I knew I kind of wanted to go the technical route and also maybe do some project management because I thought he always did a good job with that, and I learned some tricks from him. And I also grew up being outdoors a lot. Saw the reservoirs by me, go through different algae blooms, and wasn't able to, you know, catch as many fish, you know, some summers. And that's kind of how I started down the environmental route and got really interested in that area. And then I just saw the environmental engineering major as a challenge that I really wanted to take. So kind of combined passion and something I thought that I would be decent at.
Great, thank you so much. Those were all very insightful answers. So why don't we jump right into our first breakout session, which is centered around how to explore majors and careers.
All right, so our next question for all of our panelists is, what was one key college experience that helped you prepare for your first industry job? So in 1 to 2 minutes, if all of our panelists could answer this question, starting with Elena, then Evan, and then Daryl.
There are two experiences. I think my senior year when we did the design project, that was one. And there was like, I forgot what class it was, but we had to do a very long paper. And at the time, I'm like, engineering, we shouldn't have to write. We shouldn't have to learn how to do this. But that's all I've done in my role is write, read. Like those technical writing skills are super important. The design class, we had to present and come up and collaborate with our fellow colleagues. So that was very important to what I'm doing now.
So my sophomore year, I went to an Engineers Without Borders meeting, and there was actually a side presentation from a group of engineers, environmental engineers, who were doing a project in Haiti. As a sophomore, I kind of signed up to that, and I worked with them really closely, these professional engineers, and I was actually able to travel to Haiti my junior and senior year. Most importantly, was I was able to hear how they thought, and I was able to see exactly what they do for their job. And that definitely, and it also gave me a lot of amazing connections that led to my job. So yeah, the volunteering that I did helped greatly.
For me, it was my internships. I worked at the Water Resources Program and also with Dr. Both. Although I don't do water resources or work in a greenhouse anymore, both of those things gave me a lot of knowledge to do things that I still use today. For example, the Water Resources Program, I ended up in my last job designing a rainwater harvesting system for a prison in Massachusetts. And Dr. Both, I learned how to do VBA programming in Excel, and I use that, you know, I use Excel all the time, and a lot of my knowledge was gained there, so.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. They were really enlightening. So we're now going to break up into our second breakout session, which is centered around job searching while in college.
So with that, let's hop into our final question for the evening for our panelists. And that is, in your current position, what problems are you trying to solve? And what do you believe is your impact? Please answer this in 1 to 2 minutes, starting with Evan, then Daryl, and Elena.
All right, so let's see. In terms of what's relevant, right? My company, Mom McDonald, we do a lot of lead service replacements, monitoring lead levels in system utility water. So it's a relevant topic. We also try to eliminate what we call emerging contaminants. I'm sure Elena knows a lot about that stuff. We try to eliminate emerging contaminants from groundwater and surface water supplies. You know, there's all kinds of stuff that is being produced that we have to try to remove to keep the public safe. And let's see, what other kind of stuff are we doing? I mean, those are two really big issues that we're tackling. And beyond that, it's just making sure people are getting clean water and it's constant and they're good. They can, you know, shower and cook with it and stuff. So, yeah.
So in my current position, I am, I'd like to say that I'm trying to combat climate change. And although my impact at sometimes it doesn't feel very direct because it's trying to get people to comply with the law and energy code. It does at other times feel much more direct because I can see, okay, this is like a measure that I'm telling my customer to do. This is how much energy it's saving, and this is how many tons of carbon dioxide it's going to remove from the atmosphere. So at those times, I feel really good, and you know, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing something here. So.
In my current position, the main problems that I'm trying to solve is when we get a site from the state, we have to figure out whether it's a site that warrants further investigation. So we do a lot of reviews. We're looking at policy and law to ensure that the site isn't deemed harmful to the surrounding environment. So that's what we're doing, is just trying to see how do we address these sites. And that's the problem that we have to solve every day, whether it be a state program, whether it be a removal or a federal program that we need to do at the site. We're constantly trying to figure out how should we address a highly contaminated site and how can we ensure that the safety and the health of the community or the ecosystem in that area is being protected.
Thank you so much. So with that, let's hop into our final breakout session, which is going to be centered around coping with change and the unknowns.
Thank you everyone for attending our virtual panel. We hope that you enjoyed the event as much as we did, and we'd love to get your feedback. Please follow the survey link here and let us know your thoughts on the event. There's also a section on the survey where you'll be able to write a message to any of the panelists. And we'll also be sending your feedback to the panelists. So you can sign off your message with your name or leave it anonymous. Also keep an eye out on the School of Engineering website, which is linked here, for any upcoming events. One quick announcement I'd also like to make is that I mentioned the Students for Environmental and Energy Development Club earlier. So we're actually having our first interest meeting on Tuesday, September 22nd. So make sure that you reach out to me if you want to know more details about how you can join our virtual meetings. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope you learn more about environmental engineering as a major and a career choice and what it means to be an environmental engineer. A special thank you to all of our panelists, Evan, Daryl, and Elena, who took the time out of their busy schedules to be a part of this event. And thank you to all of our moderators, especially Dean Cadena, for helping us plan and execute the event. We hope you have a good evening and stay safe.